Today's class will work on energetically opening up the body, uplifting your spirit, and hopefully by the end of practice, feeling physically more open, soft, and even more aware. If we haven't practiced together, my name's Megan, and I'll be guiding us through. Let's take one more round of deep breath. Fill all the way up to the top. Really let the chest expand, belly expand. And let it all go. Good, and then from here, I want you to just let the breath travel through the body at its own unique rhythm, its own unique pace. And just really acknowledging what that feels like or looks like for yourself. Even if it feels a little bit uncomfortable, we'll draw a card for us from the deck to kind of set the tone, set an intention for our practice, and perhaps even allowing this to lead into the rest of your day. Something you can come back and anchor to, you can think about. And the new one, I am the dreamer of my dream. So what's nice about these types of cards is you can go a little bit deeper than the surface. Think about even vision instead of dream for yourself, if that seems like a word that connects with you more. I think we all have a vision or a dream for what we want this year to look like. And that even though there's so much that's out of our control, can we really tap into what we can control? Can we make things as beautiful and comfortable and enjoyable as possible with what we have? And remember that as much as we are out of control, there's some beauty in that, an ability to just release, let go, be open to receive. But we still get to have those dreams, those visions, those hopes and desires. And that can carry us through hard seasons, that can keep us feeling uplifted and reminded of what's possible. Can you even think back to a specific scenario in your life that seemed really unpredictable or surprising to you, something you never would have guessed? Maybe it was a hobby, or a person that you've met, or a situation, or a training, or maybe just being on your yoga mat right now is something that in a past chapter of your life you never would have thought that you would be here. You think of something specifically that's brought joy into your life, benefits, something that you hadn't particularly planned, that you hadn't maybe put on a dream board or a vision board or on a goal list, but somehow, some way, you ended up benefiting from this experience or person or place. And let that remind you that even though things are out of your control, sometimes that's the best thing. So just sit with that for a few more rounds of breath. Again, don't control or manipulate the breath, just simply let it be. Notice how it feels, entering the body and leaving the body. Good, and if you've started class seated, make your way onto your back. If you are on your back and you have props supporting you, just gently guide them off to the side. And guide the knees in towards your chest. And start to rock side to side. And hug the shins in closer towards you. Start to peel the nose up towards your knees, rounding through the back body. Big breath in. And exhale, soften and head back down. Sweep the legs all the way up, so stretch those toes up towards the ceiling. And point and flex the toes, roll out your ankles. Relax your shoulders though. Let them be soft against the mat. Space between your teeth. Good, and then interlace hands behind your head. Elbows wide. We'll start with just tiny pulses to invite a little bit of warmth through the body. So peel the head, neck, and shoulders up. And think about reaching your nose towards your knees or your shins or even your feet. And start to make tiny pulses. So we're not overly exhausting ourselves. We're just tiny pulses, feeling a bit of engagement through the core. Warming the body. Once we start to do this, the more space you'll feel physically. It'll be easier to invite new postures onto your mat. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Release the head, neck, and shoulders down. Bend the knees at 90 degrees. Point your toes. So my shins are parallel to the earth. Shoulders are pressed down. You have a natural curve through your spine. Good. And then notice how if you can take your hand, slip it beneath you, you feel a little bit of an arch through the low back. What we're going to do now is round the back so that arch in the back is flat. You're just slightly tucking the tailbone underneath of you. Good. Now you have a little bit extra support. Arms down by your side, palms pressed down. Press the back of the arms down. You have this really solid foundation. And then tap just the right toes down to the mat and guide them back up to left. And then tap left toes down and back up to right. I want you to keep alternating a few times. Feel the breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Lots of control here. Pressing the back of the body against the mat to secure you. Good. And then option, the next 3, you can either keep alternating or maybe you try keeping the legs zipped together and tap both legs down together. That's going to be a little bit more of a challenge, but if you're up for it this morning, you can try. Good. Once you finish those 3, let the feet plant down to the mat, heel to them towards the edges of your mat. Relax the arms out to the side and windshield wipe the knees from side to side. Inhaling to one side, exhaling to the other. And starting to pair our breath with our movement. And the next time the knees fall to the right, let them stay there. Can you turn your gaze towards the left? Deep breath in. Deep breath out. And switching sides, legs to the left, gaze to your right. Nice full breath. And back to center. Really nice job. Heel to the feet about hips distance apart. Guide the right knee in towards your chest. And then guide it closer towards the shoulder. Gently rock side to side, just small, nothing too big. And then you might even rock forward and back. Side to side, forward and back, kind of like the letter T. Working to keep the base of the spine, sacrum, pressed down against the mat, not rocking around too much. Good work. From here, interlace hands behind your hamstring and straighten the leg up towards the ceiling. Now here, don't feel the need to straighten the knee 100%. As long as you're feeling a stretch, that's good with me. You might play with pointing and flexing the foot again, noticing where a subtle change in sensation appears. If you have the space, you might guide the hands up behind the calf. And then you might lift head, neck, and shoulders up, think nose to knee, curl in. Staying connected to your breath. And soften down. Good. Let's switch sides. Guide the left knee in. Start small with those side to side, forward and back motions. And take the hands behind the hamstring. Straighten the leg up towards the ceiling. point flex. Maybe guiding the hands up behind the calf, lifting your neck and shoulders, think nose to knee. And soften back down. Really good job. Knees into chest, however you'd like to come up to tabletop. You can rock forward and back or roll over onto the side. Either way will meet. Joints stacked over joints. Take the gaze just between the fingertips and then a tad bit forward. Hug the belly button in to support the low back. Drop the belly down and then feel a wave through your spine from the tailbone all the way up to the crown of your head. Now the gaze lifts up. Broad across the shoulders, shine the chest through. Big breath in. And on the exhale, another wave through the spine, this time grounding. Gaze is going to tuck underneath of you just towards the knees. And then maybe all the way up towards your belly button. Curl in. Inhale, float forward. Exhale to float back. Good, mindful of the hands on the earth. Press down all 10 fingertips, all 10 knuckles. One more time, rounding forward and back. Good, flip those toes behind you. Over the knees, an inch off the earth. Hold it for 3. Hold it for 2. Think about pressing away from your mat. And then guide the hips back in space, downward facing dog. Cleansing breath. And really think about hiking those hips up towards where the top of the wall meets the ceiling. A little bit of a bend in those knees. Shine the chest through. Acknowledging any growth in your practice, no matter how small or maybe really obvious and huge. Congratulating yourself, recognizing that within yourself. Get high on the heels, bend your knees deeply, walk or hop to the front of your mat. Lift up and out, halfway lift. Hands to shins or thighs, really find length in your spine, engaging your core. And let it go. Again, lift up halfway, shoulders back. Exhale to soften. Roll up and reach, arms sweep up high. And down to heart center. Notice your stance, feet about hips distance apart. A little bit of a micro bend in those knees. Roll the shoulders up and back. Catch your breath in. Catch your breath out. Good. Now take hands behind you. Interlace the fingers. Draw the knuckles down towards the earth. And as you slide the hands further down, you'll find the shoulders want to automatically round up. You can take the gaze high too. Hold it here. And let the knees bend a lot. Tip forward. Let the hands now reach all the way up towards the ceiling. Relax the head and neck. You're in forward fold, but just with a different arm variation, helping to open up through the chest and shoulders. Good. Release the arms all the way down. Lift up halfway. Bend your knees, plant your palms. Step back to our first plank. Good. Feel shoulders over wrists. Exhale, lower down. Lengthen the legs out behind you. Peel the chest up halfway. Shoulders back, elbows tucked in tight. And soften. Again, peel up halfway. Notice that the back of the neck stays long. So my gaze isn't even forward all the way. It's just on the floor and somewhere in front of me. Soften. Flip your toes. Downward facing dog. Good, really lovely job. Notice what's coming up for you. Acknowledge, observe, and let it go. And sweep the right leg high to the sky. Good, and then think about guiding the toes further back up in the air. Press a little bit more into your left heel. On the exhale, knee to nose, round through your spine. Step the foot through between your hands. Stay high on your back heel. Crescent lunge, arms up high. Good. Take a minute to establish your balance. Notice if you need to take a longer stance or sometimes even a wider stance. Grip your toes into the earth. And come back to find a steady gaze forward. Trusting the strength in your legs. Strengthen the core to keep you solid. Take hands, sweep them back behind you, interlace fingers again. Draw the knuckles down to the earth again, puff your chest, so same upper body but different legs. You have a split stance here. And you have an option. If this feels quite intense for you, but you're able to breathe through it, stay here. If it's too much, you can grab for opposite elbows instead. And then one last option, start to hinge forward, humble warrior. Lowering the chest closer towards the earth. Come back to a breath. If you're in humble warrior, ignite those core muscles, guide yourself back up. Let's all release arms up to the sky. Pivot the back heel down, open into warrior two. So lengthen out your stance here. Gently tucking the tailbone under so you can press the front of the hips forward. Micro bend in the back knee. It's really easy. A lot of us will lock this back knee out. Tiny micro bend is needed. Press down through the pinky toe edge of your back foot. Arms out long, gaze forward, just past your front fingertips. Good, can you sink a tiny bit deeper? Straighten your front knee. Again, just to a micro bend. And then sink back down. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, sink. Each time, can you sink a little bit more? Notice the more comfort you find in this pose, how you can sink deeper by elongating your stance. Good. Building into triangle pose. So the next time the knee straightens, pause there. Think about tilting hips back, hinging forward. Both arms stay straight. These fingertips, I don't care if they find the mat. That's not important to me. What matters is the chest is open, shoulders are stacked. Gaze can be up towards the thumb. Work on straightening that top arm. Nice, and then bend your knee, come all the way back up. We'll move into that a little more deeper in a bit. Cartwheel hands to your mat. Step back to plank. Lower down, chaturanga, elbows graze your rib cage. Peel yourself up. Flip the toes, downward facing dog. Good, cleansing breath in. Letting it go. Try and soften the space between ears and shoulders. Shine the chest through towards your shins. Left leg high to the sky. Hold it here, press those toes up a little bit higher. Anchor down through that right heel. Knee to nose, rounding. Step the foot through. Back heel stays lifted, crescent lunge, and we'll hang out here for an extra moment so you can really stabilize yourself. Adjust your stance as you need, catch your balance. Make sure you pop up high on the back ball of your foot. Sometimes we kind of sink into that heel. I want you to stay really high. Interlace hands, but this time grab for the opposite grasp, so the one that's going to feel a little bit funky. Draw the knuckles down, puff your chest. Feel that natural lift across the collarbones. Same option if that's too much, grab for opposite elbows. And then hinging forward, humble warrior if it feels available today. And sometimes poses being available or not has nothing to do with skill level or experience. Sometimes it's just simply how the body's feeling or how you slept. So give yourself grace. One more breath. Power through the core, guide the torso back up, release the arms high. Pivot the back heel, warrior two. Pressing hips forward. Now let's focus on the front leg a little bit. So my knees stacked right over top of my ankle. When I look forward, I can see my front big toe, but I can't really see the rest of my toes. And this is just a nice guide so that you know that you're pressing the knee out. You're making the inner thigh work for you. Arms sweep out. Good. Keep the arms where they are. So you're developing a little bit of shoulder strength by keeping them lifted. And then work to straighten your front knee to that micro bend and sink back down. Good. A few more times. Again, maybe each time you can sink a little deeper. Maybe you even can lengthen out your stance a tiny bit. Pair your breath with your movement. Inhaling and exhaling. The next time the knee straightens up, pause there. Start to hinge the hips forward, drawing the heart forward. Chest shining open. Remember, shoulders stacked. Straighten that top arm. Maybe the gaze lifts. Triangle pose. Beautiful work. Sink into the front knee, you lift back up. Cartwheel hands to the mat. Step back to plank. Lower down. Peel your chest out, so we're in upward dog. Shine the chest, really press through those hands, arm strength. Flip your toes, downward facing dog. If you need a little bit of a break, quick sip of water, you might take child's pose or even kneeling. 3 rounds of breath. What do you need to support the body? Reach the right leg all the way up. Knee to nose. Step your foot through. Crescent lunge. Interlace hands behind the back. Puff the chest right away. Hinge into humble warrior. Good work. Hold it here. And pull yourself back up. Arms reach high. Pivot the back toes. Warrior two. Straighten your front knee. Hinge into triangle. And then one more level to add here. So if you're at home and this is still feeling like a lot of effort, you're still migrating the body into a triangle pose that feels pretty good, you can always grab for a block underneath of the right hand. If you feel like you're feeling really good, you can reach the right arm out in front of you. A little bit more of a challenge. What's great here is you can lift yourself up higher or lower. Feel where the core kicks in. Steady breath. Reach up, sink back into warrior two. Exalt your warrior, long reach back. Good. Let's find a bit of a flow. Straighten your knee, hinge into triangle. One breath, if you reach the bottom arm out. Guide yourself up, bend your front knee, exalt your warrior. One more time, triangle. Maybe reach the bottom arm out for a breath. Come back up, exalt your warrior. Cartwheel hands to the mat. Step back to plank. Maybe knees soften if you're feeling fatigued. Chaturanga. Peel your chest up. Exhale it back, down dog. Good, acknowledge your effort. Feel the breath, maybe some heat in the body. Support the pace of your practice with your breath. Left leg high. Knee to nose. Step the foot through. Crescent lunge. Establish your balance. Opposite grasp. Puff the chest. Breathe in. Exhale, hinge forward, humble warrior. Good, zip up through the core, pull yourself back up, arms reach up, pivot open, warrior two. Straighten your front knee, hinge into triangle on the left. Holding and pausing here, noticing a difference from right to left side. Can you reach the bottom arm out in front of you? You've got this. Bend the knee, lift up, exalt your warrior. Back to warrior two. We're good, we'll flow through that 2 more times. Straighten your knee, hinge into triangle. Bottom arm reaches out for a breath. Bend your knee, reach up and back. And up. Once more, triangle. And up, or sorry, bottom arm out, hold. And up, now exalt. Cartwheel hands to the earth. Last vinyasa. You can skip this, go straight to down dog if you'd like. Downward dog. 3 last breaths in down dog, and I encourage you maybe to find a little bit of movement, pedal those feet, sway the hips, shake the head. And we'll soften into a child's pose. Let those arms reach out in front of you. Soften the forehead to the earth. Make your way back up. We'll come into seated. If you're more comfortable sitting up on a bolster or a pillow, go for it. Lengthen up through the spine. Let's do a little bit to stretch out through the torso. Reach your left arm all the way up. Use your inhale to get longer. Exhale over, side bend. Let those shoulders soften back down from the ears. Keep anchored equally through both sit bones. Sometimes when we do a side bend, we kind of cheat ourselves and we reach so far that we left that one sit bone lift up off the mat. Really focus on this being your root, your base through the hips and pelvis. And this will allow for more of a stretch through the side body where you really want it. Can you inhale for one more breath? Get a little longer. Lift through the chest a tiny bit more. And exhale to the center line. Hold it here, let the eyes close. Can you use your own awareness, this connection you have to your physical body? Can you notice the difference from one side to the other? And then when you're ready, right arm reaches up, use that inhale. And then exhaling over. Soften your shoulder, even soften the jaw. Inhale for extra space if it's there. Exhale, back up. Beautiful. We did a lot to open up through the chest, so let's do a bit to counter that. Just take the hands on the knees. You can use that as a bit of resistance. Tuck your chin, round through the spine, and feel the shoulder blades slide across the back body. Gently lean back. So you're countering the weight by pressing the knees or the hands into the knees, rounding through the back body. Steady breath in. Steady breath out. Good, and then roll yourself back up. Let's do one stretch for triceps, especially if you are working on building your chaturanga, your tricep push-ups, so they're stronger. Next, we'd help recover that is to take the top arm up, bend the elbow, then guide the elbow in closer behind the head. Important here that you stay lifted. So oftentimes when we do this stretch, this is a pretty traditional recovery stretch, we start to round through the back body and tuck the chin and kind of slump. I want you to stay lifted. So imagine like you have a broomstick behind the back body. Good work. And then you'll take the right arm, cross it over the body. Left hand to come somewhere along the forearm, wherever you feel supported. You'll just gently push that in towards you. I find it helpful, instead of just having my right arm stick straight, to bend the elbow a little bit and then guide the arm down. So see if maybe that difference benefits you. You'll feel this up in the top of the arm. And release. Beautiful. Opposite side. Again, keep that lift through your spine. Reach it back. Guide the elbow in closer. Release. Cross it over the body. Maybe try from stick straight to gently bending the elbow and drawing it down in space. And release. Beautiful. Let's come all the way down into our back. We'll be in Shavasana shortly, so if there's anything that you're going to want to make Shavasana extra comfy, cozy, have it within an arm's reach. Meet me with the knees hugging in towards your chest. Let's find happy baby. Start with keeping the toes together. Widen the space between the knees, so think knees to shoulders. Hands on the shins. Think about guiding the knees closer towards the earth. This might be enough. Next layer, flex the feet, kick the heels up towards the sky so that the heels are stacked over top of the knees. Arms can be anywhere along the inside of the legs or around the ankles to guide the knees down. Relax the shoulders. Give yourself permission to breathe deeply. One more good breath. Before bending the knees, closing them like a book. Plant your feet to the earth. And you can gently windshield wipe from side to side. Checking in with yourself if there's any other movement that would serve you. And then take this time to set yourself up for Shavasana if you'd like a prop underneath of the knees, an eye pillow, oils, changing the music or the lighting around you, a blanket. Really making the most of your practice. When you feel settled, allow for stillness. Allow for a little bit of heaviness to root you down. And reminding yourself again of that one person, place, or experience that surprised you, that ended up really benefiting your life. Maybe an invited in healing or joy. But it was something that you hadn't planned for or hadn't expected. It was out of your control, and it was in your favor. And somehow, through all the choices and actions within our life, you landed within that experience. And as a simple and beautiful reminder that sometimes having things out of our control is really to the best, or really for the best. And trusting in that. Let yourself rest here, just observing breath, observing thoughts, letting the body recover from our flow, and I'll guide us back when the time is right. And start to deepen your breath. Inviting in some movement, fingers and toes, rocking the head, fluttering the eyes. Making your way over onto the side body. And then all the way up to seated. We'll seal our practice with a collective breath. Find yourself seated, hands at heart center. Deep breath in. and letting it go. Thank everyone so much for practicing with me. The highest in me sees the highest in each of you. Namaste.